things have gotten much warmer very quickly in the Arctic after a period of gradual increases in temperature. I'm Dr. George Tavoki. I'm director of Friends of Cooper Island, a nonprofit, and I have been studying Black Guillemots, an Arctic seabird, for the past 42 years on an island off northern Alaska where climate change has greatly impacted the birds breeding on the island. Every summer, I spend 3 months on the island. I lived in a tent for the first 28 years of the study, but then after polar bears started coming to the island, I got a cabin for my safety and live there now behind an electric fence and inside the cabin. The bears are there because of the fact that the ice is melting, and the sea ice melting is also taking the food away from the bird I've been studying, so that the parent birds are having a harder time trying to find food for their nestlings. Black guillemots specialize on Arctic cod, a species that lives directly under sea ice. And as the climate has warmed, it has retreated further and further offshore every summer, so that guillemots can no longer fly out to the ice. The fish are no longer available, and they have to turn to alternate prey or feed their young less. And as a result, their breeding success has declined. The chart showing the average annual temperature in Barrow gives you an idea of how cold or warm a given year was, and plotting a long time series, as the chart does now up until 2016, you can see the trend as to what is happening. And that trend that was gradual up until recently took a major jump in 2016. So it is that major change that we can see, and having all those earlier years having those records is very important, because we can put 2016 into context, and the context is very scary, which is why it is a large red dot. One of the shortcomings of charts is that they typically show physical data like temperature, where the red dot is. I lived on my island in the Arctic for 3 months in 2016 and saw major changes. I saw birds breeding earlier than they ever had. I saw chicks not being able to be fed by their parents. I saw polar bears swimming to the island. So that red dot really encompasses all that. And if you just look at the chart, you don't pick up all of those things I saw. One of the important things about my study is that it is the longest such study in the Arctic basin. And even though I'm on one island, anywhere that the ice is retreating in the Arctic, and there are many seabird colonies in the Arctic, there are certainly similar changes taking place with birds being unable to find food that up until recently they could always find. So this really is a site to monitor what is happening to an ecosystem, and then being able to say, okay, this is probably happening throughout the whole Arctic basin. What has been important to me about doing this study is that I've been able to go up to the Arctic every year and follow some of the same individuals that are breeding on the island. I banned the birds, and I've had birds live for 33 years that I've been able to track how many young they're raising and see their young coming back. And that sort of continuity gave me a personal connection, that I could go back and see birds that I have color bands on, and I could tell who they are. That has really been one of the main reasons I've been going back. And then as the Arctic started changing and I saw these same individuals struggling, it gave me a personal connection with these individuals that, okay, how are you going to deal with the fact that the ice is as far as it is offshore? The graph showing 2016 being as warm as it was is a major impetus for me to get out and tell the story behind 2016. Even though it's very depressing, I'm very motivated to get out and share my observations with people, because many people don't have to experience what I experienced in the summer every year in the Arctic. And I can go back and say, this is what I saw, this is what I experienced, this is what's going on due to climate change, and let me tell you about it, because it's happening quickly. And many people have come up to me and said, I now have a story about climate change that I didn't have before. That certainly is why I keep doing it, and also why I can't stop. I think that the most important thing that the younger generation can do is be very well aware on a daily basis of what is happening with climate, and not casually read any climate change stories, and don't let it become normalized like, oh yes, this is the warmest year on record, and sure, because last year was too. And as a result, talk to your parents, talk to your teachers, talk to your friends, have it be part of your life, because it is part of your life, even though you may not experience it every day the way that the Guillemots do on Cooper Island.